Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and wow, yes, we got another absolutely wonderful show coming your way today. We got one of my most favorite people in the world. He's going to come on and just educate us. Going to talk a little bit about uh, voting and et cetera. But I'm not going to take too much away from Michelle, because she's going to introduce this great guest. And she's the returning guest, been on the show several times, and always full of life, full of enthusiasm, full of things that's going to inspire all of us. And so I'm very excited to have you all on the show today. And I'm not telling you, I'm talking about you all, I'm talking about the viewers and as well as this great guest, because we couldn't do it without you. So, uh, Dr. Michelle Cooley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, James. How are you?
I am doing just fine. I'm in Texas, and it's a little bit cooler here than it is there. I,
Oh,
I
really?
was I was told it's 107 degrees in Temecula.
It's
Have
well,
you?
it's 99 right now. It's gonna go in the hundreds this week, most definitely.
Well, we're not there yet in Texas. We kind of cooling off a little bit. Yesterday was the first time we had that I can remember that we had a little rain. So I was happy about that. So how's your day going so far?
It's going good. It really is. It's a beautiful day here in California, so I'm happy.
Well, we ready for you to come home. you
How's
know,
Bella?
she doing just fine. She won't eat anything. I walk around the house looking for you, but that's okay. So
Okay.
I'm excited about this show today, especially the guest that we have on because she brings so much, just like I said, enthusiasm and always educating us. So can you go ahead on and do the honors and invite, tell our viewers and listeners the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely fantastic guest.
Oh, most definitely. So, everyone, the title of today's show is What Can We Do to Increase Voting Opportunities in Our Families, Communities, and How We Can Do It. So, we're having a conversation with mitigation specialist expert Theresa Diamond, and we're going to talk about the criteria to be able to vote, the percentage of registered voters who are actually voting, and discuss what is civics and discuss creating family voting traditions, which is definitely important. So Theresa Diamond, she was born and raised in South Bronx in New York City. She attended public school and graduated from John Jay College of Criminal Justice with a BS in Criminal Justice Administration and Planning. She went on to gain employment in every arm of the justice system available to her. After over 25 years away from academia, she returned to school and obtained her master's degree in community counseling and completed the first year of her PhD. She has held the following positions: civil investigator, criminal defense investigator, investigator for the largest county public school system in Atlanta, integrated the juvenile probation office in Washington State, integrated the civilian police department for the U.S. Navy at Bangor Submarine Base. She relocated from Atlanta to San Diego after living there for 28 years. She is currently a mitigation specialist and is hired by various public defender offices in Southern California. Please welcome back to the show, Theresa Diamond.
How you doing, Teresa? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Dr. Coley?
Well, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. So, just excited to have you back, and
I'm
doing just
excited to
fine.
be back.
Yeah. So Teresa, you've been a frequent guest on the show. Can you remind our viewers and our listeners, in case they missed you on some of the other shows, that we know who you are and what keeps you going and ticking?
Well, I'm a proud African American that lives in Southern California, and I relocated out here to help public defenders defend people charged with the death penalty because I'm against the death penalty. And so I've been here almost 5 years now, and I'm sort of semi retired. So I also was raised in the South Bronx, which I got a really good, uh, I think, life lessons that I carry over and help me throughout my career. Um, just because you grow up poor don't mean you're dumb. And I learned a lot of things from my mother, my siblings, my community. And I don't know no better than to advocate for the community. So um, I have so much to say that it's not enough time to go over all the areas that I want to cover. So I had to streamline it down to a couple of items. So if first of all, let me just tell you thank you for having me back. I love doing your show, and I'll tell you why. It's because it gives me an opportunity to lay out for people just some thoughts. I want to evoke thoughts and action. And if there's one thing that I can say or do that makes you think more about a topic, I'm all for it. And this is a good forum to do that in. Um, I think as we get older, I'm laughing because I just referred to myself the other day as a senior citizen, and I start laughing. So I as we get older, we start thinking about younger people and legacies and all of that. I'm not so much tied up with a legacy, but I want to contribute in ways that has nothing to do with money, has nothing to do with anything other than I have a desire for younger people and people who feel disconnected to connect in some kind of way. And if I can do that on any level, then that would make me happy.
Well, you're not a senior citizen. Uh, hey, hey, long as we're able to get up and move around and get and do the things that make us happy, we still babies.
Okay.
But we do get seasoned, and we do, I believe, become smarter as we understand things. And one of the things that many of us that we're going to talk about today do not understand, and the reason many of us do not vote or we have no interest in it, it's because we lack understanding
Right.
on how important this is. With that being said, can you tell our audience why you chose this topic to talk about, and what are the importance of that we educate and our viewers and our listeners and our communities, etc.
Sure. Sure. Well, one of the things that I draw upon is how what my mother did. My mother was born and raised in the South. And there were a lot of things that she knew about that she wanted us to understand. And one of them was voting. She used to say all the time, people died so we could vote. But what she did is she developed a tradition, and I don't think at the time we were looking at it as a tradition. But as each one of us became 18, which is the year that you're legally eligible to vote, that person would join the others who had previously voted, and we would all go to the voting thing together. I really loved that. Not only that, I remember when there was a mayor's race, and my mother asked me who was I going to vote for, and when I told her, she said, "Well, why?" And I said, "Well, I don't know why." I went to the library, and I went to the library and I looked up because at the time we didn't have computers like we do today. And I went to the library and I looked up the candidates. I looked up what they voted on, what their backgrounds were, and then I became an educated voter. And so I use that as a primary example. Families don't have to follow my family, but we did that,
Mm-hmm.
and I was excited about that as a young person. When I first time I voted with all my family, and we all walked up there, literally walked up there together and cast our votes. And so I also had the benefits of being taught civics in school. And what is civics? Civics
Well,
teaches
I'm
you.
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Theresa. I think you kind of
uh,
frozen on the screen.
yeah, I've been frozen since I started.
Oh, okay. Um, and I'm sorry, you were mentioning civics, but I think there's something we want to talk about later on down
Okay.
the
Okay.
in the hour. But
Okay.
so I know you were talking about why this topic was important to you, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Keep going. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's important to me because I see what's happening.
Hmm.
Okay, for instance, just generally speaking, according to the census, the U.S. population is 335,318,925.
Hmm.
The population registered to vote in 2020, only 67% of all those citizens voted. 67%. Now, it did increase from 2016 to 2020, but still 154.6 million people voted. That's less than half of the population. And that's only one statistic. And the reason why that's important, it's not about get out to vote, get out to vote. It's because it has a direct impact on our daily lives. For instance, it's been a known fact that more people go out and vote for the presidency, but they don't pay attention to, or they don't feel the need to go out and vote when it's your local commission, or
Hmm.
your Senate seats, or your Congress. And these are the people that's in Congress right now making decisions about our life and making rules. And those rules and laws may not be something that's complementary to our lives. That's how deep it is. So, what did they do? As we increase our voting, which we have since 2016, they come up with restrictions on how to vote, which makes it even more difficult. But an uneducated voter, to me, is worse than a non voter, in my opinion. And, I can go a little deeper about that, but I want to know who it is and what they think if I vote for them to go in any office. I don't care if it's a local district attorney. You can see that right now in Georgia with Fonnie Willis. She was elected by her whole county. And what did they do? They came up with a law. The people that they put in office have voted for a law that can remove her. That's just one example. They can do that in everything. And we have to protect our rights in things that we think complement our lives, not destroy our lives and make it harder to live. I want to know who's making rules about me and what I can and cannot do, where I can go and where I can't go. And I think other people care about that too. But we have a civic duty. And I think I didn't want to go there, but I have to go there.
I tell you what, can you hold that thought? Because we going
Okay.
there. We going there. We going there. We're gonna take a station break. And when we come back, we're gonna pick it up. Hey,
I'm
Theresa,
still frozen, by the way.
yeah, if you can log out and log back in, it'd be much
Okay.
appreciated.
No
And
problem.
so we're gonna take a station break, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna pick it up. But with Theresa's getting ready to go there. Yes, your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We'll see you shortly after the break.
I never wanna leave. Yeah, I'm right where I wanna be. We got something you and me, and I can't get rid of this feeling. Just like a magnet, we're just like a magnet. The things we have can't be taken for granted. Now I know that it has always been you. I can't help it, I'm so drawn to you. Just like a
a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
Welcome back to Your Life. I tell you, Theresa's putting it down. Theresa, can you log out real quickly one more
I
time?
logged out and logged back in. I'll do it again.
Yes, real
Okay.
quick. So Theresa is putting it down, and we are really getting deep into this conversation of what we're getting ready to talk about, and we're going to talk about a lot of things. She's going to educate us on a lot of things that about the voting system, about the eligibility, etc. So now looking forward to having these discussions, because we got to fix these little technical difficulties, with television and radio and all that. I mean, sometimes we have problems, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get it right. We're gonna get it right, and I tell you, Michelle. So what do you think so far, Michelle?
Hi, I'm right here.
What you think about the conversation so far? Theresa trying to get that corrected on her end.
Yeah, I think.
No problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great when she mentioned, how her and her family used to go vote. It's like a family tradition. I think that's really important. Also, I want to ask a question when she comes back on the show. What's also I feel it's important is before, the legal age to vote, that our young people really need to educate themselves, or their parents need to help them or guide them where they can get education on the issues. Sometimes we're so excited about voting for the first time, and you should vote. Well, this is my thoughts. I believe a person should vote based on their research and their understanding. If they don't understand the issues, find a platform or do some more research to understand what you're voting for. Just because 10 of your friends are voting this way doesn't mean you have to vote this way. I mean, this is serious. This is very serious, and we need to take this seriously. Everybody needs to take it seriously.
I believe that she brought up a great point about Georgia voting. The houses in Georgia, if they don't like how somebody is doing things, they just passed a law to be able to vote them out just because they don't like how the people are following the rules or executing the law. And a lot of the states, I find partisan, what I call partisan politics, is doing that right now. And that's not even right. To be able to just because you don't like somebody's ways, etc., you create laws where you can vote them out. And a lot of the, and I hate to say it, but a lot of the southern states are doing that, and that's not even right. We should go by the law, based on the law, not what we think or what somebody tell us. And then it become kind of like a cult-like lifestyle for people. You're only going by not what you believe in, but what somebody tell you, and that is never right. Theresa, I think you're back, but we don't have your video,
We
but
do
that's
video.
okay.
Something's going wrong here. If you can hear me, I'm fine. I don't have to be seen.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Pop out.
Yeah, I logged in and out several times, so there's a little glitch going on. I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay. But I
But I
saw
can
you
hear
log in
everybody.
and you froze again, and but we okay. At the break, we'll
I'm good.
try it again. But can you tell the audience what is the voting age in the United States, and why is many of the states trying to change the voting age to prevent people from voting or to be able to control the population of who's going to vote if it favors their party or whatever that is.
Well, there's a long answer to that, but given the time frame, I'm going to try to answer it like this. My understanding when I became an 18-year-old voter is that we, the citizens, get to select people to go represent us in our communities and our state and then our president, right?
Mhm.
Today, in 2020,
I think we lost her again. Don't know if there's technical difficulties at her end, but we'll get her back in a few minutes, hopefully. But what she was saying, the voting age in the United States is currently right now 18. I know there are politicians that are trying to change that to 21. And also the thing is to prevent people from voting so that you can stay in power. And that's not always the case. I got you back, Theresa.
thank you. Yeah.
So 18 is the voting age. I think that's what
You have to be a
Theresa.
U.S. citizen and you have to be at least 18 years old. And whatever state you're in, you have to be a resident of that state. In some states, it's 29 days, some states are 30 days, which also, by the way, as a side note, illustrates why we need a national voting standard for all states. But what I was alluding to was the fact that we used to pick our people, and that's how it went. Today, they're picking us, and it's called gerrymandering. They actually carve out areas with the highest amount of people or population they think will vote for them, and they carve out people who just like what state was that recently? They were ordered by the
Alabama.
Alabama. Of course, it was Alabama. It was ordered to draw an additional map to include Black people, and they didn't do it. That's because they're afraid to lose their power. So what they do is come up with these new rules. So what does that do? It comes all the way back again of being an educated voter. You have to be educated. And I just have to say, this is not a black or white thing, but Black people need to know that everybody Black ain't down with the same issues. They're not.
And you're right about that. And people need to be people, not just going by. And I know we talked about, and I'm gonna say this. We talked about Clarence Thomas on the last show,
Don't get me started.
and you know how many of us feel about that. But you're right. But it's got to be a system of fairness, I believe. And it's not about color, black, white, green, purple, any of that stuff. We just have to have a fair heart, an honest heart, and make sure that we put people in there that it's not color blind, if you will, that's going to do right by all people and not just become power hungry or power struggling. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's the bottom line right now is that our Congress people are picking their constituents instead of the other way around. And we have to combat that. If we don't do anything about that, it's going to continue. And I'm not here to say anything specifically about Democrats, Republicans, or independents. They all do it. Not as much as the Republicans do, but they're all guilty of it. Some out of survival when they're going to lose their constituents that they want to represent. It's not a necessarily bad thing. But if we had universal federal election laws, all this nonsense will be wiped away. And that's why they haven't endorsed the Voting Rights Act that was presented to them, several years ago now?
Oh,
They
yeah.
won't even allow it to come to committee. So there again, if you got a person in Congress that won't allow something like that to come to the committee, who are they? And what state are they representing? Is that your congressman or woman? You need to be an educated voter. So what I want to say is that I have all kinds of problems with social media and the internet, but it's also a very good tool. This is one way that you can utilize that to become educated and to educate your children. Since they're not teaching civics, and your wife said we'll talk about that later, people have to understand at a young age how the government is formed, what functions the government has. But not only that, they have to understand the expectations of citizenry. As a citizen, what is your obligation to the rest of the world or the rest of their country? That's where it starts. And there are numerous states who have completely eliminated civics. If they haven't eliminated it, they've reduced it to like a half a credit. It used to be when I was in school, I had a whole year of civics. By the time I got out of school, I knew that there were 3 branches of government. I knew what each one of their functions were. You ask a young person today, except for the climate change of people, I'll give them their credit because they really have done a lot of homework. But a lot of people, including adults, don't understand the difference between these 3 branches of government. So it's in whose interest for you not to know that?
You're absolutely right. Civics are pretty much they have done away with that
Mm-hmm.
in schools, and a lot of things that's going on at the time is to try to brainwash many of I wouldn't just say black people, but people in general.
Yeah.
People by taking away the curriculum of where you teach history, which is also a part of civics, with the understanding of that. And I just don't understand why these states, some of the states are so afraid to go back and talk about the past, because that's how I believe, that's how we're able to move forward in the future, is understand what happened yesterday and not try to wash portion of it away and say, okay, we're not going to talk about anything prior to 1865. None of those type of things. And that's another reason I'm talking about all people are struggling from that, because we are not teaching them the right, history. How history was based upon prior to the Civil War and et cetera. So I think all of these things are so important that we educate, and we put these things and stop taking books away just because we don't like what it says, and many think that that's going to change the way your generations think. So I tell you, we're going to take a station break, but we're going to come back and we're going to pick it up. We're going to continue this great conversation. If you want to be part of the conversation, whichever platform you're watching this on, all you have to do is just go to that platform, go to the comments, ask any question that you might have, and I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection. Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And I tell you, Theresa is really educating us, especially in the area of voting and some of the things that I believe that we need to be focusing on. One of the things that she talked about is being an educated voter and also understanding the candidates, especially in your communities, your state, etc. Understanding what they stand for and understanding if they are there to represent you and what your goals are and what you want a leader to be. So I think all of those things are important. Michelle, I don't know if you can log back in. But those things are important because we need to be able to select the right people for the right reasons. It doesn't matter whether you're black, white, green, purple, or whatever that might be. It's as long as you got a fair and honest heart that you're going to represent everyone the same way. I believe that is so important. And today's political world, I'm not sure what are the actual thoughts. It just seemed like it's just a power thing, just staying in power and not caring about doing the right thing. I mean, it might be right in most of the politicians in their eyes, but it seems like it's all about being able to hang on to power at regardless of whatever the cost, regardless of whether you're gonna, commit crimes and etc. And being able to control the masses. That's not right. You can control the masses by doing the right thing, by having the people that you represent to believe in you, trust you for honesty. Honesty, integrity, and ethics is primarily what I always talk about because those are so important to me, is to be honest and be truthful at everything that you do. And we have generations that, especially our youth and young adults, that are looking at us. They want to emulate most of the things that we do. But we have to do the right thing. We have to be able to just step up there and do the right thing, not just for money, not just for power. But we have to lead and guide, and we have to teach them. But the only way that you can teach and represent is you have to truly believe that you're doing the right thing. I'm talking about for the right things. That's why I believe that even in politics, even I ran for public office. I ran for city council twice, city council mayor twice in Temecula. Unsuccessful, that is. But I stood for the right, at least in my opinion. All right. I stood for the right thing. I stood for the people. I was not going to be bought or manipulated by anyone. And sometimes when you stand for the right things, when you stand for people, when you stand for making sure that you representing truly from your heart, sometimes you might not get there in today's time. You might not. Theresa, what are your thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts on that. I don't think we have enough time, but I agree with you, Dr. Cooley. And this is the thing: if nothing else moves you, the fact that Congress people are picking their constituents and it's not the other way around you should find that disturbing, because what happens is a lot of people vote people in that are opposed to their own interests. They vote against their own interests. And how would you know that? Well, I want to give you a couple of sites you can go on, because this is where the internet plays a positive role. For instance, I went to get these stats on how many people, what the population was, how many people voted from the Census Bureau. I went on voter.org. Simple as that. Voter.org has enough information on there. If you're in the military, how you can go about voting, how to do absentee voting, and they take it state by state because every state has a different rule. And I might add that every time something increases, like voting by the ballot, mail-in ballots, then there's a rule to stop it. Whatever way we increase, they figure out a new rule to stop it. But anyway, you can go on a voter.org and you can find out a plethora of information about what the requirements are. And included on that is also people who have lost their right to vote because they were convicted felons. In some states, you can have your rights restored. And a lot of people don't know that. They think because they've been convicted 20 years ago that they can't vote anymore. And that's not true either. And that's what I'm talking about voting. So I'd like to not just criticize what's happening, but I'd like to offer some ways in which some people can engage with their children, their families. I don't know, just like we used to have them fish fries. Maybe on a Saturday, 12 o'clock, everybody knows to come over and pick a person that's in your community, find out what they voted for. You know, you could create a game. That's one way. Second way, of course, is to do like my mother did and ask them, well, who did you vote for? Well, why did you vote for them? And see, and have a conversation. But more importantly, they need to study civics. There's a couple of websites on, you could just go to Google and Google in, what are civics? They'll explain to you what civics are, what it's designed for. They'll tell you which states took civics out of schools or minimized it. They'll tell you which ones actually have it, at what grades. And that teaches you, like I said, your own responsibility as a citizen. I don't know about you, Dr. Cooley, but I'm finding that I'm meeting young people. I talk to young people I don't know all the time, wherever I'm at. And I'm finding that they don't care because they don't know that they're expected to care. That's what I surmise. They don't see themselves as part of the rest of us. And they don't care. I'm not speaking on behalf of all young people because there are some young people out here advocating and doing what they once they have an understanding, they go full charge ahead. But there's a lot of young people and middle-aged people who frankly say, oh, well, all politicians are the same, they all alike. That might be true, but you keep picking them. Either you're picking them by not voting, because a no vote is usually a yes vote for somebody else. Who is that yes vote for? Or you completely remove yourself from the entire system and you complain every day about what's happening, how things aren't going the way they should or the way you expect them to go. We have a civic duty to participate, not just on election day. It builds us up to election day. You know, my mother used to tell me all the time when I would say, Mama, I read this article. She said, wait a minute, stop right there. Who wrote the article? And I said, who wrote the article? She said, yeah, you need to know who wrote that article and to understand who they are, to understand why it is that maybe they're saying what they're saying. You don't just take somebody's word for it just because they wrote it. Well, in elections, we have records, voting records, either yay or nay. That makes it even simpler. You could go on your website, on any website in any state, and type in Congress. If you don't know your area or district, you can put in your zip code, and it'll tell you who represents your area. And then once you do that, you can click on them, and then don't go to their website because they're going to say all this wonderful stuff about themselves. Go to something like C-SPAN or go to congressional voting, on issues and see who voted yes, who voted no.
A lot of people don't know that. I mean, that voting is a public record. And,
it is a public record. You can access it.
And you can figure out who lying to you or not real
That's
quickly.
Right.
But then, just like you mentioned a second ago, many of us, we're uneducated because we choose to be. Right. And all the sites that you just named, that will educate us.
Well, you know what? Our ancestors didn't have tools like we have, but they actually died and bled for a right to vote. Back in the day, they had poll taxes. They knew Black people didn't have no money. That was to prevent them from voting. Then they had, guess how many jelly beans are in this jar? Which sounds ridiculous, but they did that. And then, this whole progression of voting, not being able to vote. Most people know that women were the last people other than Indians to be able to vote in this country. But there's a whole plethora and a whole history that people need to go on the internet, since we are plugged into our phones and our hand devices, and just search. When were Black people eligible to vote? What year was that? What about the Voting Rights Act? I want to leave this audience with one question, because I can't answer it, and I just want you to think. Why is it that the Voting Rights Act got to be voted on over and over and over again? Why didn't they just make an amendment to the Constitution? Why?
Well, you got a point.
Make you go,
We're going to take a station break. But this conversation is so good. Hey, Tony. Hey, thank you. I really enjoyed chatting with you today, and looking forward to chatting with you again. But Theresa, we're going to take a station break. We're going to come back. This is probably a 3-part series.
Oh, boy.
Well, we're going to take a station break. We're going to come back. We're going to pick it up, and we're going to delve a little bit more deeper in this conversation. So if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is go to whichever platform that you're watching this on. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get your answer. Remember, it's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break. Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and Theresa. Theresa, you told me that this was going to be a hot one, and it's going to be a great one, and it's so educational. So I want to pick it up. Theresa, I noticed that not during the last election, people were discouraged to vote, and they tried to get people not to vote by mail. Why do you think that so many states, southern states, are totally against people voting by mail? And why is it's important that they understand that their vote will count?
Well, it's the funny thing is that Republicans used to actually encourage people to vote by mail. But then when the numbers went down for them and up for people other than Republicans, they wanted to stop it. They want to stop anything or limit anything that does not support them staying in office. And you're right, it's about power. And I just want to, there's something that's been bugging me for years. And I just want to put this out there because I know my old neighborhood is not the only neighborhood like this. But, I've been wondering as a young person when I was growing up. I remember 1977, I think it was 1977 when they had the blackout. About 4 blocks away from my house was a Woolworths. It burnt down in the riots. It never was replaced. Never. Why are there all these years? I'm 66 years old, so I lived there since I was like 8. Why do they have supermarkets in those neighborhoods? Who's representing those neighborhoods? They're not representing their interests. People in those poor neighborhoods need to know that they can go to a supermarket and get as many fresh produce as anyone else. They don't. I told you 4 shows back, my mother used to go in there and throw the meat out because it wasn't good. So what I'm trying to say is that elections connect to everyday things, just like supermarkets and stores, what's in your neighborhood, what's not in your neighborhood. So who are the people representing these people? You need to throw them out. But you know what? Guess what they know? They know you ain't coming out to vote.
And so, Theresa, how can we get people to understand, and how can we get them to go out and vote? What can we say? What can we do?
I used to be an organizer.
You said the fish fry.
Yeah, I mean,
if we can go back to those days.
Yeah, whatever it takes. I mean, politicians come out when it's election time. What happened between those times? You don't see them. You don't hear from them. Some of them. I'm not going to paint all of them with a broad brush. How come since 1966, when we moved over to those projects, we only had one supermarket in a 30-block radius? How come the rat infestation? How come the police? How can the police go get somebody who sold fentanyl to a movie star? They can find them in 3 days, and crime is rampant in poor neighborhoods. It all is connected. Everything, any topic you want to talk about, you want to talk about food, you want to talk about bus, you want transportation. I don't care what you talk about. It's all connected. And we have to take responsibility to start teaching that to our children and our loved ones. I don't think they're dumb. I think they just don't know. We got to start somewhere. It's our responsibility and our duty. Our ancestors died so we could have this privilege.
Wow. Theresa, we're down to the last couple of minutes of the show. But you said something in the beginning of the show, which I thought was just so wonderful. You mentioned something about the family and your family. Everybody went to vote together.
As they turned 18, it was incredible. I don't think we even talked about it, but I just admired that so much. And as I got older, I looked back on it. I said, wow, that was a tradition. We never said it was a tradition, but my mother was smart enough to know that's what she was doing. And that's something that people can do. I mean, it's different now today. We live in different jurisdictions and we may not be at the same voting precinct, but for years we voted all at the same precinct.
How can we get families to come up? And I'm gonna be real. How could we get Black families to get back and follow that tradition? Because right now, as we talked about today, if you lack understanding, you don't know what's going on, and you want to sit back and blame everybody else because you didn't vote, because you lack understanding. We got a minute or less. Can you address that?
Yeah, I think that people are preoccupied with living. I mean, we just went through COVID and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I think that people are preoccupied, but they need to make this a priority because this determines everything. And if they don't vote, then we're going to have people continuously making rules and regulations that may not align with our interests. And I think that we have to make this a priority. You know, way back in the 60s when they was, the civil rights movement. I mean, that's just not a historical document. Those are real people's lives that went out and tried to convince people why they should vote and why they have a right to vote and, what they should do about it. And here in 2023, where things are really messed up, we're going to have to do something. And I think that we need to take it serious as community, people, as individuals, and we need to teach our children and our grandchildren what it means. What are the three levels of government? What do they do? How does a law become a law?
I think all of these are so important. And civics. Theresa, like always, I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show. We got to do part 2 real soon, real soon, because we did not get through half of the stuff that we talked about that we wrote out. And so I want to thank you, and we're going to have you to come back on and talk about this again real soon. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. Most importantly, I'd like to thank my viewers and listeners for tuning in to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Always dream big, think big, and be big. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life.